Welcome to the third episode of HIVEMIND, The Revelation. Trigger warning. This episode contains mentions of murder, drugs, and a dead body, although nothing graphic. We start where we left off, with the mysterious phone call. Tengiz and Mary were scared. Why would a higher-up contact them like this? And why would they be told to stop their investigation? Without any other explanation, they decided that it was most likely a prank call. Wanting to fight for justice, they decided to not listen to the call, and keep the investigation going. With the plan of searching the area of the death the next day, they finished up the last few things, before going home. This consisted of collecting dental records for identifying the body, and other small tasks. It was the middle of the night, and Elena Avaliani was just finishing a night out with the girls. Driving home through the city, she was excited to come home to her wife. She didn't normally do girls' nights out on weekdays, but her wife had said that she would come home late too, since she was doing an important investigation. Eager to jump into the arms of her wife, Elena quickly closed the door of her car when arriving home and swung the front door of their house open. Wanting to surprise her wife, who she thought would be in their bedroom, she snuck up the stairs, and slowly opened the bedroom door. As soon as she opened the door, she felt a cold breeze hit her, and she tensed up. Something felt wrong. And there, on the middle of the bedroom floor, laid her wife, mouth gaping open, with the white of her eye showing. Elena knew that her wife, Mary, wasn't sleeping. Falling onto her knees beside Mary, she tried to scream in anguish, but no sounds left her mouth. Her wife was dead. Just having contacted the private investigator, which Laya found to be the best, Laya went to her door to collect the local news. The private investigator had scheduled to meet up with her in the afternoon. Ever since Luca had disappeared, Laya had always read through all news, hoping to see something about him. When looking at the front page, this wasn't what she saw, but something else was on it, which shocked her. The headline read, "Two Guria police officers, Tengiz Bakia and Mary Avaliani, mysteriously dead last night." This shocked Laya. This was the first time such a tragedy had happened so close to her, in her 37 years of living. And it happened so close to her son's disappearance. She was starting to get suspicious. Why had so much out of the ordinary been happening in the last 2 weeks? Before she could look at the rest of the pages of the newspaper, her phone rang. She ran to her kitchen table where it laid. On the phone, she saw the phone number of David Nanova, the private investigator she had just contacted. "I'm on my way. Have you seen the local news?" he had asked her. She answered that she had, but that she didn't see how the two police officers' deaths were directly relevant for her. David told her to go to the next page, which she did. Dropping her phone on the floor, and feeling her eyes immediately getting watery, she read the headline, "Teenage boy's dead body found close to farm, most likely murdered." Feeling a massive weight lifted from her shoulders, Laya felt another one drop back on them. She knew this was it, and she finally knew what had happened to her son. He had died. Her son had been killed. She had known this moment was coming for the 2 weeks, but it still hit her like a rock. Later the same day, Laya and the private investigator David were driving out to the location, mentioned in the article about the unknown teenage boy's body, who Laya knew was Luca. Knowing no one took her seriously, all the pain Laya felt had turned into determination to solve this mystery. David had said that finding the exact location of the death should be the first cause of action. As they drove away from the village, the trees began to dense up and form into a forest. Surrounded by faded leaves and gray trees, Laya and David arrived at a farm. Opening the door of the farmhouse stood an old rugged-looking farmer. Like they were connected, the farmer quickly told Laya and David, after very little conversation, that he was the one who found the dead body of the boy. The farmer, who they knew as Vano, having seen the news about the dead police officers, agreed to show Laya and David the location, where the body had been found. On the way out there Vano was nervous. He knew that Laya's son had just died, and how she probably couldn't bear more bad news. But Vano knew he had to say what he had been holding on to further the investigation. He told Laya and David how this area, and the farms in a few kilometers radius around it, was known by the farmers to be a frequent area where drug rings would operate and trade in. The dense forest and low amount of people in the forest made it easy to not get caught. Vano himself and many farmers had been close to catching the drug traders. The worst part, Vano told them, was that the police never took the rumors seriously. When being hit by this, Laya felt her world shatter. Could it really be true that her son had been involved with this? Surely this couldn't be the reason of his death? Arriving at the location where Luca's body was found, Vano saw how it didn't look any different from when the two police officers had taken the body with them. Searching the general area around the spot where Luca had laid, they didn't find anything. This seemed weird because Laya recalled how Luca had his hunting gun and backpack with him. As the darkness of the night grew, they were at the verge of giving up on finding anything substantial, when David decided to look at the wheel tracks Vano's tractor had left behind. Under some dirt, he found something shining. A phone. Laya immediately recognized that it was Luca's. At first she was reluctant to look through it, but she knew it was their biggest lead, so she agreed to do it. Knowing Luca's password, Laya opened the phone. They opened the Photos app. Laya's stomach sank when she saw that the latest video was a 3-minute video, taken exactly 15 days ago, at 4 a.m. It must have been from when Luca died. David, Vano and Laya had their eyes peeled at the video. It was hard to see as it was pitch black. From the sounds it sounded like Luca was hiding in some shrubs when taking the video. The shakiness of the video made it hard to see what was happening. As the video zoomed in, it was clear that it was off some people, standing in the faint light of a car, a half-dozen meters away. They were discussing and moving slightly around. It was impossible to hear what they were saying. As the video got close to the 3-minute mark, one of the people turned and looked directly at the camera. The video abruptly ended. Seeing what most likely was the last few moments of her son's life shook Laya to the core. Saying goodbye to Vano, and thanking him, David and Laya left. Laya wanting to go home and get some rest, but David had a plan. At home, sitting with his computer, David tried enhancing the video quality and the brightness to possibly make out who the people in the video were. David's eyes opened wide as an empty feeling hit him when he saw who one of the women in the video were. If this information leaked to the news, it would blow up Laya's case. In the middle of most likely trading drugs, stood a powerful woman. It was Katie Melua, the mayor of the Guria region. This is where the third episode ends. In the form linked in the description and on Discord, you will need to answer this final question. Should David leak the information found on the video to the news? Good luck. Your choices will matter.